Hey guys, Claire Chancellor here. Today we are going to go on a journey together to understand what are beliefs. So often in the coaching world, you'll hear people talk about manifesting and then the need to shift your limiting beliefs. But rarely do they actually tell you what beliefs are, what makes them limiting, and how they're getting in the way of the thing that you want. But we're going to clear that today. We're going to bring in that clarity so you understand, okay, what are beliefs? Why are they so important when it comes to manifesting? So that when you've got this aha in your toolkit, it's like, yeah, okay, anything's possible now that I get this. So let's get started. Think about something that you know you will absolutely get today. Are you a tea drinker? Are you a coffee drinker? What's something that you absolutely know you will get today? And notice that there's certainty. I want a coffee. I'm a coffee drinker. That's the priority. I'm going to make that happen. And now, when we contrast that to something bigger that you want, something more meaningful, the big dream, the goal, the manifestation. And now, how do you feel about pursuing that bigger goal? You may find that there's a level of uncertainty, hesitancy, maybe it even triggers a level of insecurity. And so, what is the difference between your want of a coffee or a tea versus your want for something more important to you? Well, it actually comes back to your beliefs and your identity. You and coffee go together. It's familiar, it fits into your lifestyle, but the bigger things that you want, they actually don't match who you believe yourself to be. So that's why there's a mismatch here and the level of uncertainty and maybe even feeling like you're stuck and going in circles. Because if those bigger things that you want already aligned to your current identity, you wouldn't be questioning where is it. You'd actually just have it by now. And this is the thing with beliefs. Beliefs are an idea that is true without any facts. So they're generalizations, they're assumptions, they're conclusions about your relationship to something outside of yourself. You know, if I've got my phone in my hand, I know that, yes, it's a phone, it's a fact. But when I think about the idea of my relationship with my phone, I might actually have a belief here that, it makes me feel good, that it connects me to the outside world, it makes me all of these different things. They're beliefs. So a fact is something that you can observe with your five senses. You can see it, hear it, taste it, touch it. For example, this is a picture of a chair. Like, that's a fact. But the beliefs describe your reality or your relationship to something outside of yourself there. So I believe that you can have anything that you want out in the world. So again, we've got facts that are quite singular within your senses that you can engage with, and your beliefs are who you are and your relationship to that person or that thing or that object. Now, we do have different types of beliefs. There's the surface level beliefs that are quite easily changed when you learn something new. So you may be somebody who's on a diet, you learn about fasting, you try out fasting, and it's like, oh, awesome. I now have this new belief that fasting works for me or doesn't. So it's something that you've learned, and it's now a belief that you've changed the relationship with how you do your food in the morning. But the deep beliefs, and that's what we're really going to focus on today, is the really deep core beliefs that were programmed within you when you were growing up, before you even had words. So these are the really deep core beliefs, the invisible scripts, the invisible narrative about your identity. So they shaped how you earned praise, approval, connection. They also taught you, what to avoid, the abandonment, how to get what you want in this world from your caregivers. So the beliefs within the context of what we're talking about today are really those deep core beliefs that are deep within your unconscious mind. So I invite you to think back to night one, the very first session that we had together. There was that moment, right, where we put your hand on your heart and what do you truly want? Now, did you answer that question from your logical mind and the beliefs? Or did you answer that from your heart and your intuition? Because when we had a look at what it is that you absolutely want, it did come from your heart space and it came from that intuitive connection. And we're going to explore the difference now between how the beliefs either support that manifestation or how they limit that manifestation. Because when it comes to your identity, surviving in this world, and pursuing what you truly need, you must remember that your beliefs will support you to choose whatever serves your best interests. So if you have the opportunity to go and manifest something that really supports who you already think you are, what you believe you deserve, what gives you belonging, significance, validation, familiarity, it's like, yes, easy. I will pursue that. But the thing with beliefs, if you've got some programming in the past that, stepping out, speaking up, asking for what you want caused you to have or to be rejected, caused confusion, shame, there's now a belief here that says, like, no, I'm not safe to ask for what I want. And the belief now pretty much rules the show, and it stops you from feeling good in yourself to ask for what you want. It'll just put on the brakes. It'll get you to have an emotional trigger. The nervous system will feel deregulated, and you know that you're up against a limiting belief. So when I have a coffee with friends, I believe I belong. That's what my tribe has always done. We all come together for morning tea or afternoon tea for coffee. So this is, I feel seen, I know that I matter. And I could personally contrast that to me, I do not drink alcohol. So someone asking me to go out for drinks, I don't feel like I belong. I don't know how to fit in. It's completely unfamiliar. And so we've now got this mismatch in identity. Now, when you're manifesting and maybe you're pursuing a new job or a new opportunity, and you think or you have the belief that, gosh, my friends will, judge me. They'll think that I'm up myself. Who does she think she is? All of this starts to trigger beliefs about, oh my gosh, I'm going to be rejected, shamed, confused, abandoned. And it will stop you in your tracks from pursuing that incredible opportunity or that promotion. Because the number one need here is that belief to belong. So if this strategy makes logical sense to pursue your desire and to avoid the discomfort, then why do we feel stuck? Let's have a look at your manifestation list. What do you want? Do you want to travel? Do you want the new home? Do you want the money? Whatever it is that you want. Your intuition, like when we connected in on that first session, your intuition is calling you towards what you want, to feel free from the old limitations, the old narratives, so you can be in that full expression of yourself. So if your intuition is pulling you to do public speaking, to make an impact in other people's world, your intuition is saying, like, yes, get out there, have that new identity, the speaker, the presenter, the person who leads. And yet, your ego and your limiting beliefs are going to put the brakes on when it comes to that. It's going to block you from having what you want. It's going to cause emotional triggers, your nervous system to feel deregulated, all of the things that get you to think, oh gosh, no, this isn't for me. This doesn't feel right. It feels unfamiliar. And so this is where we've got that mixed match in energy, because your intuition is saying, I want what I want. And yet on the other side, your ego, your limiting beliefs, the logical part of you is like, no, I'll just keep doing what's familiar. And so now people start to feel stuck. There's a lack of progress and they don't know which way to go. People will tell them, okay, well, just, do what's familiar, do what's comfortable for you. And they're running from old childhood kind of beliefs about do what's familiar, do what's comfortable for you. So it's this stuckness that keeps you in jobs that are familiar, friendships that are familiar, relationships that feel predictable. Even though they're emotionally draining, it's like, okay, but this is all I know. Like, I need to either bend more, give more, do more, because, there's something wrong with me, that I need to do what I can to keep the peace, or whatever limiting belief is running that started from childhood to ensure that your needs got met, to keep the peace, to give, to do all of the things. Whereas there are other people that are not stuck, not people pleasing, not masking, not procrastinating. They have those uplifting jobs. They have those collaborative friendships. They have those secure, adoring relationships that uplift and energize them. So then, again, what needs to change to get what you want? Now, if we go all the way back to childhood and we recognize that you grew up in a home, in a family, I should say, whose job was to pass down the rules, the standards that helped them survive. And believe it or not, their way has worked because you've made it. You're here. And so now the logical mind, the ego, the limiting beliefs, everything here said, well, what we've done has worked. I've made it to here. So to take a risk, to step out and to do something unfamiliar, we haven't got evidence for that actually taking the confidence to have a risk is going to work. So before you could even speak, your family, they would have spoon-fed you your food, yes, but they also spoon-fed you your beliefs. So your beliefs shaped your identity, so you could navigate life in a way that felt safe, acceptable, and familiar, because they knew how to navigate what they already knew. And as a child, if you were told the moon is made of cheese, your unconscious mind is just like an open sponge. It is going to absorb everything that you need to know how to be human. As a baby, as a toddler, you're going to absorb all of those rules, what you were taught, what you were trained to understand. And there's no logic gate here within the unconscious mind. There's no internal fact checker. In fact, your logical mind hasn't actually switched on yet. All it's doing as a child is just absorbing the environment and absorbing how to survive, absorbing, okay, what are the rules to navigate life? And it's just taking those on board very, very strongly to say, yeah, this is what works. So now those beliefs may be outdated, like beliefs from generations ago. If you've got relatives who've gone to war or gone through poverty and they know you have to really work hard to earn every dollar, they're going to hand down their survival mechanism throughout their generations. But regardless of time, those beliefs and that core identity is going to show up going to influence how you show up, what you tolerate, and what you believe is possible, because that's exactly what they taught you. And again, it's worked. So in family dynamics, when you're little, you've learned, okay, do this to be included, to belong, to be right, to be validated. And you get praised, you feel good. And now the beliefs start to wire within your mind about, yep, this is how I need to be, to belong, to behave, and to be. You will also experience different dynamics where it's like, don't do this. If you do that, you're going to get excluded. And it's going to really program that survival instincts about, okay, worry about what other people think. Again, worrying about other people's judgments, need to make sure that I'm not abandoned. In a simple example, if you're praised for holding mum's hand when you're crossing the road and you're little, it's like, good job, you're safe, fantastic. Holding mum's hand is a really good idea. And I agree. It's like, yep, that's the safe thing to do, because your logical mind hasn't kicked in yet to know what's coming around corners. But if you're little and you step too close to that road and mum's tone shifts, so she gets quite sharp, and maybe there's a shock and a panic, and maybe she gets quite, intense in the way that she's like, stop. That little one can now start to create that belief, like, I'm not safe on my own. I need to hold mum's hand. I'm not safe in this big world, which is understandable as a toddler. But if that belief doesn't get changed as you become a teenager, as you grow up, that becomes a very core, deep belief that I'm not safe on my own, I'm not safe in this world. And it now continues to operate. So much so that if you still have this belief, I'm not safe on my own, when you get to those developing years, you'll attract in people to hold their hand, to look after you, because you're so anxious out in the world that you'll do anything to keep the peace with them as well. And so this is where the power imbalance can start to show up, because the beliefs that were childlike still carry through as that number one rule. Now, the interesting thing to consider with manifesting, the problem isn't the belief itself, like I'm not safe on my own. The problem isn't that you're stuck. It's quite an interesting thought to think about. The problem is how you're managing that belief and that stuckness. Let me explain a little bit more. Limiting beliefs are very, very, very powerful, and they will convince you that you are stuck, that you can't move forward. You can't even go back. It's like this stuckness that you can't go beyond the barriers that once kept you safe. Anything that you were taught when you were little about, yep, this is how we be in this family, this is what's acceptable. But those childhood rules that did have an intention to protect you now contain you. They now define how stuck you are. They're now shaping your limits and how you show up as an adult. So instead of being free to go out and explore the world, you hold on to these limitations. And that's the dilemma. We don't often question or have that self-awareness to even assess why we're stuck. And so look at this. Look at the actual picture here, where someone is stuck in their head, stuck in the noise, stuck in the chaos. What would you say or do to assist this person to get unstuck, so they're not having to manage the stuckness? You know, this is the type of person that may want to go on a holiday, but the moment that they get too close to the airport or go into the plane, they're now having to manage their anxiety. They're now having to breathe through the problem. Whatever it is, they're now having to manage their anxiety, instead of letting the limiting beliefs shift so that there is no noise, there is no container. It's just like, no, I just show up freely. I'm safe in this world. And so to really understand the stuckness, we have to look beneath the surface. We have to look beneath the what are they avoiding, and how are the old beliefs they were once taught to trust now actually limit them, right? So when we have a look at, oh my gosh, I'm not safe in this world, and for some reason, you know, when I was holding mum's hand little, I got praise. Letting go of mum's hand, I got, told off. Mum never helped me update that belief. And oh gosh, if I go too far away from mum, there's the shame, there's the confusion, there's the obligation, the guilt if I don't call her. Like, there's something going on here within the what are you avoiding to keep yourself stuck. So again, these limiting beliefs are going to cause people to, again, overgive, procrastinate, perfect, to mask. They'll feel guilty, they'll feel frustrated, ashamed, tolerating too much, because that is what they know to belong and to be accepted. My question always comes back, like, do you really want to be accepted by people that are going to guilt trip you and cause you to tolerate and mask? It's like, oh, that's a very quick recipe to be chronically unwell. So to shift these limiting beliefs, the first thing that we must do is actually question them. And yes, you can absolutely start. If you're doing self-coaching, you could start with Byron Katie's classic, her work. Is it true? Is it really true that I should overgive, should procrastinate, should make that call, should tolerate, should stay small? Is that true? And your ego is going to scream at you with that limiting belief. Like, yes, of course you should. Like, who do you think you are not to do the thing? Or blah, 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 blah. All the narrative that you were told when you were little. Worrying about the consequences when you didn't do the thing that other people told you should do. And so, yes, your ego is going to say, yep, you should call, or she should do, or you should help. But then you pause and you ask the next question from Byron Katie's work to say, well, can I absolutely know that it's true, that I should be doing and I should tolerate and I should? Is it absolutely true that I should? Now, your intuition will quietly wait for the ego to quieten, and it will give you the truth. You will know, my friend, what is right for you. Whether you listen to your intuition or not, that's another thing. So, in coaching, we're going to go one step further, because when you're inside that box, there's only so much self analysis that you can do, because the instructions for your unconscious mind are well and truly distant to your logical mind. If you're functioning and you're questioning yourself, you're in your logical mind. But the problem is that the limiting beliefs aren't stored in your unconscious mind. The limiting beliefs are stored in your unconscious mind, not your logical mind. Something to get your head around there. So you do need somebody outside of yourself, someone who's outside of the box, to access the instructions. Because that's part of the problem here, is that you may have limitations about trusting people or putting on the mask and shooting, but your intuition is also getting you to trust and have discernment in who you allow to support, help you with tapping into some of these vulnerabilities. So as I said, in coaching, we'll go one step further, and we're going to challenge what you're up against, and we're also going to challenge what do you want. So let's have a quick look at this one. As an adult, you still may battle with that belief that I'm not safe in this world. Yet your sneaky intuition has got your attention with the new car. Oh, gosh, that would be great to have that new car. And of course, your intuition is signaling to you to release the trapped feeling, the scarcity, the stuckness, so that you can have the freedom to explore the bigger world. So you want the new car. And then when we have a look at what the new car represents to you, you'll notice that whatever it represents to you, that freedom or whatever it is missing from within. Otherwise, you'd be an energetic match. You'd already just have the car. So if you want the new car, what does it represent? Does it represent freedom, safety, stability, even power? What does it represent? And then you go within to check, how free do you feel? How safe do you feel? How stable do you feel? How powerful do you feel? And this will very quickly give you clues on what requires your attention, so you can manifest what you want. Now, this will save you years of coaching. It will save you years of trying out different modalities. It will save you years of stress, of frustration, like, where is it? Why can't I have what I want? Because you've now got the to-do list on what needs the attention. And so we then explore what experiences caused you to feel a lack of freedom, a lack of stability, a lack of security, or a lack of power. Like, what has caused that? Because you are a very, very powerful soul here on that destination to have that human experience. How could anyone even consider that you had a lack of security or a lack of power? Like, you're incredibly powerful. So where has this limitation come in? Because once we change that belief permanently, instead of feeling not safe in this world, it's like, I'm free and I'm powerful, you now start to change your neural pathways. Instead of the neural pathways going into triggers and panic and, oh my gosh, it now goes down a whole different path. That when you do consider, yes, I'm powerful, so yes, I can say that, or yes, I have the freedom to choose, things are now changed permanently. So when you clear that limiting belief of not feeling safe in this world, and you now feel free, safe, stable, powerful, the law of attraction will start to work with you. You feel powerful, so you manifest powerfully. Synchronizations begin to arrive and just electrify in unbelievable ways. And I've definitely seen this with clients. You manifest what you want because your self-worth matches the thing that you're wanting. Now, when you try to explain this to people who are non-manifestors, it's going to scramble their logical mind. They're going to say it doesn't make sense. And truth be told, they're not ready to hear it because logic gives them safety, gives them control. So they're on a different path to just like, okay, I'll just tolerate the hard work. But yes, manifesting, it's nonsensical, like manifesting in those white feathers. Manifesting, getting you to come back to that present moment, to be able to come into that intuitive knowing, it is not logical. We are not logically doing things to have what you want. And that's exactly why it works. It's not logical, it's unconscionable. And so this is you coming back to that true, authentic, aligned version of you. All of those words that social media use about being in alignment and being the authentic you, no one actually tells you what that means. But this is it, stripping away the onion layers of the shoulds and the have tos and the tolerating and the limitations and the ego, to come back to that beautiful sense of who you are when your soul put its hand up to come on this soul's journey. It's like, yeah, I've got watch out world, I've got all sorts of talents to bring. Now, I want to quickly give you 3 client examples to help you understand where this can take you. I had a client who said, yes, I want my dream home. Now, underneath that, I had to do the inner work with her to discover that it actually wasn't safe to own her own home. So there's a bit of a mismatch where, yeah, her intuition saying, yeah, I want my own home, but the ego is saying like, it's not safe to own your own home. So we had to go in a little deeper to question that. We discovered that her unconscious mind when she was a child had absorbed the panic and the hurt when the house got taken away. And it got taken away because Dad was a gambler and he gambled away the house. So the unconscious mind had made a belief, a connection, a relationship to owning my own home equals hurt and pain. Logically, because I know it was Dad gambling away in his decisions, the unconscious mind as a child does not rely on logic. So once the unconscious mind said, that connection, that it is actually safe to own your own home, it was like the ripple effect of change. And she very, 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 very quickly, she went from renting as an identity to being a new homeowner as an identity for her and her children. And yes, she got that home very, very quickly within coaching because there was no more triggers and panic and all of the things when it came to the idea of owning her own home. It was just doable now. Had a client who said, yes, I want a successful coaching business. And at the time when I met her, she was working at the reject shop. So it was her intuition saying like, yes, squeeze the juice out of life, be more, have more, experience more than the reject shop. But underneath that, we found that there was the fear, the limiting emotions around Dad, how aggressive he would be if she wasn't, under his wing. He felt proud to be that provider, to hold his head up high. So he had put in these limiting beliefs about staying small to be safe, at his benefit, by the way. So once she stopped avoiding his intimidating behavior, like that's you and your identity. If you need me to be small so you feel powerful, like that's a mess. And so she stopped seeking that external validation from him. And her identity is being a well-known coach in the industry. I had a client who was saying, yes, I want to be happy and healthy. And yet she was in a particular culture where it was expected of her to give to the family, to do everything she could for her marriage, her children, to put herself second and to ignore her needs. And it was like, Claire, if I can just be happy and healthy, I can provide and do the things that I need to do. But the problem here was she was trying to add more energy so she could do more and be more for people who were not considerate. And in fact, the more energy she had, the more that the goalpost changed, that she had to now do more. So adding more energy to her system was not going to solve this. What we had to do was shift the limiting beliefs around the shame of not measuring up, the fear of not asking for what she wanted, shifting the limitations around disappointing others. And very, very quickly, she changed her identity from being that married woman with all of her shoulds. She got out of that toxic relationship and her identity shift to a very happy single woman who now has that big franchise of a thriving company where it supports children and their well-being. So huge, huge. So now let's have a look at your money resistance and what we can do to start to take the edge off some of the limiting beliefs. If you have a pen and paper in front of you, I invite you to consider some of these. People with money are, just write down the first thing that comes to mind. People with money are, my biggest fear about money, if I have too much money, ... I don't deserve money unless I... Just take a moment to reflect on some of the very quick kind of judgments that and opinions and beliefs that you have about people with money. And now notice that you may have one of those answers like people with a lot of money are greedy, and yet you have that personal identity in being a giver or authenticity. And it's like, how can you be a giver and have plenty to give if people with money are greedy? If you have money, does that make you greedy? You know, the type of person that you're currently judging. Do you keep money at arm's length because you don't want to be seen as greedy? We've now got a bit of a map here that's going to show where's the mismatch in what it is that you want versus what you're going to allow in. And here's the truth. Money is just a tool. Just like a spoon is a tool for eating. And as I said earlier, when you were a child, when you were a toddler, your parents spoon-fed you beliefs as well as spoon-feeding you your food. So whatever you've taken on board is now the beliefs. So let's get a bit playful. And what I want you to do, and keep a straight face with this next piece, is I want you to swap the word money for spoons. So read back to yourself. People with spoons are, and then your current answer that you had for money. My biggest fear about spoons, and then read your response about money. If I have too many spoons, and then your response with money. And I don't deserve spoons unless I... Now, when we took a group through this particular process and they had a look at this, somebody was talking about traveling overseas to their family where they didn't have a lot of money, and she was holding herself back and not talking about the success that she's been having in her business. And it was like, oh gosh, you know, people with money, you know, they're a bit show-offish, you know, they're not considerate, blah, 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 all of these things. And then when we changed it to people with a lot of spoons, and it changed the dynamic. It was like, people with spoons are greedy. Is like, it doesn't make any sense. And that's the thing, is the relationship that you have with money, it's not about the money. The relationship you have with money is is the issue, the beliefs that you have about it, that are deep within the unconscious mind, that are the old programs where you were maybe told as a child or it was made an example, like you have to work hard for money. Yeah, that's not so true, because there's a lot of wealthy people that do not work hard. And working hard gives you a sense of control. So we've got a bit of a mismatch in that belief. So the tension is never really about the money or the spoons or the fact that the moon is made of cheese. It's always been about the meaning that you've put to your relationship with money. So having money, having wealth, having a rich life can make sense if you believe it. So let's now move to step 6, to surrender the attachment. And to surrender the attachment, I want to highlight this is a piece that most coaches and people get confused because they think that the surrender means to let go, but it's not. Surrender is something completely different, where you've surrendered the old ego narrative, the old triggers, the old way of being, the old way of shooting and tolerating. This is now about recognizing that you have the value within yourself, the beliefs that back you up, the boundaries of what you stand for. And the outer world starts to reflect that. You're responding differently now, free from the neediness, free from seeking other people's approval, the reactivity, the triggers, needing the control to be safe, all of that. You've now shifted your self-worth within. And so no matter where you go, that incredible sense of empowerment, the confidence goes with you. You've stopped wishing and waiting for something to be different. You've taken action throughout all of these steps to shift your limiting beliefs, to shift your identity. And at this stage, it's like, yeah, I'm going to take action to speak up for myself, to stretch into the discomfort of what's unfamiliar, to do the things that make my heart race. And instead of seeing that as a panic attack, it's like, no, this is exciting, like going on a roller coaster. Building that muscle, making those connections, affirming your confidence, and becoming the version of yourself who no longer waits for change. You create it. You activate that divine timing. And so with or without the item outside of you, your intuition has done its job. You're the traveler, you're the homeowner, you're the millionaire, you're the in-demand coach, whatever it's right for you. And because of this surrender, the neediness is not there. And instead, there's that signal to receive, like I'm open, I'm expansive, I'm here. So this is where I now encourage you to have a look at the next link in the list, to look out for this particular process to grow your money tree. Now, I've had incredible success with clients to go through this particular process. And this one here is all about recognizing that as we pull out the weeds in your garden about all the limiting beliefs, it's now about planting the seed to your money tree or to the growth that you want, so that it starts to grow. There's the trust that the energy in you has shifted and changed, and that even your frequency has elevated. So you're requiring and expecting and attracting and seeing all of good things that you want in your world. Now, before you jump into that process, I want you to think about how much money you're currently earning, and then think about the new identity of how much you want to earn this time next year. Something that's realistic, because you can always come back to this process. But you'll see there in the links that there's this process here about growing your money tree. And I'm really keen to hear your feedback, your ahas about your experience with what it means for you to shift your energy, to elevate and evolve, and to manifest what you want once you've done this process. So I'm Claire Chancellor, and I really look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye, guys.